Hey, I'm Nathan Tabor. I want to talk with you about a subject today that is very near and dear to my heart, and one that I struggle with on a daily basis. Wait, I think I'll do this video later. Is that okay? The thing I deal with is procrastination. I am a procrastinator from way back. I mean, in high school and college, if I knew I had a paper due or a report due and it was due in 2 months, do you know what I did? I waited till the night before or the morning of to do that. Test book, you look up in a dictionary and you might see my picture. What happened during that time? If you're a procrastinator, you already know what I'm talking about. So from the point that I knew that I needed to do something to the point that I actually did it, I didn't do anything about it during that time period except worry about it. Every time I thought about it, it was like, ooh, I need to do that. Oh, I got so much to do. But I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow. So even though I didn't do it, I still worried about it the whole time. And so over the last few years, I've really tried to dig in and look at how to resolve some of that. How to not be that procrastinator, because two things that it was really doing, it was causing me to be stressed or worried, anxiety, whichever adjective you want to throw in there. And each of them have their different little things about them, but that's where it was. The other was the final product that I produced was not the best product. Because if you do something early on, you have time to go back and edit it, or look at it, or adjust it, or think of a better way to do it, or try it several different ways, let other people look at it. I didn't get any of those benefits. Because when I waited till the last, I ended up just getting it done. But that's all I did. I didn't do it the best that I could. So I've come up with 9 ways in my life that I deal with procrastination, and I want to share them with you. Now, I don't do this in every task. I don't apply every one of these every time. These are just things that sometimes I use 2 or 3 of them, sometimes I use 1, sometimes 4 or 5, just whatever type of project you have going on. These are some things to consider. With procrastination, I will do anything that I can to avoid having to do what I need to do. I'll go sweep the garage. I'll go pressure wash the driveway. I will read something that I'm not really interested. I mean, it can't even be explained because some of the stuff is so ridiculous. And if you've been there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I love this little meme here. It says, I'm very busy doing things I don't need to do in order to avoid doing anything I'm actually supposed to be doing. Why do we procrastinate? Why do we let that happen? Why do we continue to let it happen? Well, there's a couple different things, and probably some that I'm not going to mention here, but we just don't like the task. It's unpleasant, or it's hard, or it's going to take a lot of time, or there's a fear of failure in there. What if I don't do it the right way, or what if other people don't like it, or the fear of change. I just don't want to do this because I don't really like where it's going to lead to. Sometimes I'm lazy. Sometimes I'm sure you're lazy, or I'm uncommitted. I just don't feel like doing it right now. It's not something that I see the end benefit. That's a tough one for me. If I don't see how I'm going to benefit from it, it's hard to get me to buy into it. Even though I know it needs to be done, and I know there is a benefit somewhere along the line. And sometimes, this is one of a harder one too. Sometimes the task is just unclear. So whatever the reason is, whatever excuse, most of the time, it's not really a reason, there's ways to overcome that. There's ways to change it. There's ways to deal with it. And one of the first ways to deal with it is understanding that you, Y-O-U, for my case, it's me, but the individual, yourself, You're your biggest challenge. I'm my biggest challenge. So we need to implement some steps. We need to implement some processes. We need to implement some things that we know when this comes up, here's a solution to how to deal with it. So let's talk about a few of those. Dealing with procrastination, making sure that you are addressing it. In my life, and I'm sure in yours, it's the greatest asset that you can have that will have the greatest impact on you and those around you. If you can overcome the procrastination, if you can better yourself and get past it, it's the one thing that holds most people back. And so if you can overcome it, it brings us so much success and so much more focus and energy into your life. So here are 9 things that I have developed, and there are others. There's some great resources out there on this, but here's 9 that I've come up with. The first one is to delegate task. I have a mentality that most people have. If I take the time to show someone else how to do it, I should just do it myself because it's going to be done faster and it's going to be done better. And that's okay to have it sometimes, but that really slows down the process. That really keeps me from doing what we are best at because we end up trying to do everything. So take time and organize yourself. Really get to know those who are around you, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and start delegating things out that you can do, but you're not the best at. And give it to someone else who is really good at that so they can help you do that. And so it really helps in the process. So learn to delegate. But to delegate, you yourself, you have to be organized and you have to know what you're doing. So sometimes it's really good just to write things down and say, this is what I'm really good at. This is what I'm okay at, so I'm going to find someone to help me with this that I'm okay with. The next step, the second step, is just do it now. Don't wait. I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it next week, or I'm going to calendar it. If it can be done, just do it. Don't postpone it. Don't wait. Don't go play Candy Crush. It's one of my weaknesses at times. It's like, hey, this would be really fun to play this game for a minute. When you postpone things, though, it only creates more stress and anxiety. And so there are tasks that we can do that we should just do right now. If it comes up, just do it. And you'll find as you start to do that, wow, some of those things that just were kind of hanging out there, they're done. Answer that email, return that phone call. These are normally things that only take, 15, 20, 30 seconds, maybe a minute or two, something that we can do pretty fast and pretty efficient, but we put it off. So just stop it. Don't put it off. I love this right here, procrastination, a noun. The act of ruining your life for no apparent reason. Does procrastination help you? Does it make the task any easier when you actually do it? I learned in my life the things that I were putting off because, oh, wow, those are going to be really hard or those are going to take a really long time. Do you know what I found out when I finally would just do them? They were never as hard as I actually had made them in my mind, and they never took as long as I thought they were going to take. And when I started figuring that out, I was like, wait, it's all in my mind. It's not all in your mind. It's not all in my mind. There are some tasks that are hard, but a majority of it is just stuff we make up in our mind. The third step is chop it up. Break it up. Break huge projects into multiple projects. Take actionable steps and put them into. I don't know, I heard somewhere along the line, one of these TV shows or something, somebody was trying to eat a huge steak, and the guy asked him, how are you going to eat that? And he said, well, easy, one bite at a time. And I think there's an old joke too, how do you eat an elephant or something like that. But I mean, this is how you have to do things. If you have a large project sitting in front of you to do, it's overwhelming to look at it and say, I got to do all of this. What about this week I'm going to do this, and the next week I'm going to do this, and the next week I'm going to do this, and then the next week I'm going to do this? It makes it a lot easier to manage. And so that's what you need to do, is break things up, chop it up. The fourth is obey the 15-minute rule. Now you can put in here the minute rule, or the 3-minute, or the 5-minute, the 7-minute. I've seen all kinds of different rules as far as the number of minutes. And that doesn't really matter. You could make a 30-minute rule. But basically, we do this in our household. When we're going to clean the kitchen or clean a room, my wife sets a clock and says, this is the amount of time we have. And then that's all we do in that time period. We don't do anything else. There's no checking phones. There's no returning emails. There's no watching TV. It's do this task. So you'll find that if you'll do that in your life, hey, I've got to do this. So I'm going to take this amount of time, 15 minutes, for example. And for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to take out all the distractions of my life. And I'm only going to do this. You'll be amazed at how much you can accomplish in that time period, because you've removed everything else. Everything else has been removed, taken out, and now you're just doing it. Try it. It's truly amazing what you can do on that. Have clear deadlines is the next step. So when you do a project, instead of saying, I'm going to do this in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to do this in the next couple of days, change that to, I'm going to do this by Thursday at 2 p.m. Or on Wednesday from 2 to 4, I'm going to do this project. Put it on your calendar, block out your time, set your date on that, put very specific date and time to when you're going to have that portion of the project done or all of the project done. When you think about it, it's like, oh, that's one of the best things that I do now in my personal business and personal life is, here's the deadline when this has to be done. And if I've broken it up, if I've chopped it up, then I have those certain deadlines, multiple deadlines that get put into that. If you really need help in this, find an accountability partner. Find someone that shares a calendar with you or knows you have this project due, and tell them, this is when I have to have these certain things done, so they can help you. They can hold you accountable to, hey, Nathan, you're supposed to have this done tomorrow by 5. Where do you stand with it? It really helps to have that accountability partner in there. Next is ask for advice. Simply say to someone, can you help me out? I don't understand this. The instructions don't make sense to me. One of the things I deal with clients and people that I work with is they'll spend days, if not weeks, trying to figure something out that when they call up or they email and ask, within 5 minutes, I know the answer to it. Why? Am I smarter than someone else? No. Not smarter than most people out there. But I have my set of skills, and you have your set of skills. So when you're going through something, when you're trying to address something, you're trying to figure it out, why not ask someone? Why not say, hey, I don't understand this over here. They might know within 2 seconds or 5 seconds or 5 minutes how to address that problem. But see, we normally don't like to ask other people for advice because we think it makes us look weak. We think, there's something about, well, if I ask about it, what are they going to think about me? What's the reverse of that? What do they think about you if it takes you 5 times longer to do a project than it should? Which is better? To take forever to do something and then not do it right, or to ask up front for help? To me, the answer to that one's really simple. And think about Proverbs 15:22. It says, without counsel, plans go awry, but in the multitude of counselors, they are established. So the Bible talks about, all throughout Proverbs especially, seeking counsel and wisdom of others. So do that in your own life. No matter what it is, what's going on, whether it's work-related or personal or financial or spiritual or health, ask people, ask someone, find a mentor or someone who knows about that to help you out with it. The next is to remove distractions. don't have all the things going on. Don't be watching the ball game or the TV on or your computer or your phone or whatever it is that's going on around you. Remove them. Find a quiet space that you can work in. Find a different spot in your office or your house that you can take everything that you're working on and lay it to the side and focus on it. It's been like this since we were kids. When we have multiple things going on, it's really hard to do the one thing that we need to do and do it right. Because you have all the outside noises, all the outside influences going on. So just try to remove those. Try to set them to the side. The great one on this is the 15-minute rule. So remove the distractions and then put a time limit on it. And then set your calendar, so you start combining a few of these to get done what needs to be done. What you'll find with this is the task that should have taken you an hour, you might be able to do it in 30 minutes if you don't have other distractions going on. The next is just maybe you need to delete it. Maybe it's not something that's important for you to do. And only you can answer that. Is it something that's getting you to where you need to go? Is it something that's vitally important? Or is it just something that you need to do because you think it'd be good to do? Well, you're going to have to answer that question. But I have started deleting things out of, that's not really going to get me where I want to go, or it's not really important. So, really think about that as you're, doing that task. Does it need to be done? And if it doesn't need to be done, delegate it to someone else or delete it. The next is, give yourself a reward. Pat yourself on the back. When you set that calendar, when you set that date, have something that is fun or something that, tells others about what you've done. Whatever your reward is, it's okay to celebrate. It's okay to say, hey, I've achieved this. This is a milestone that I had, and I've accomplished this. Even the smaller things in life. It doesn't always have to be about work. It doesn't have to always be about how hard things are. But as you create this and reward or give yourself a reinforcement or motivation, it really helps you with other projects. Because if you know now, hey, I've got to do this project today, but I got to do this project tomorrow. But in between this, I've got 3 hours of free time because I've now managing my time better because I'm not a procrastinator. Then you're like, wow, I need to really make sure I keep this in place. And sometimes the reward could just be that you have more time to spend with your family or to do things that you like to do. Colossians 3:23-24 says, "And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily, as to the Lord and not unto men, knowing that of the Lord ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for you serve the Lord Christ." Do your work as unto God. That's what that verse is saying. Even if you don't like the task, you don't like what your boss has given you or what your spouse has asked you to do, you're not doing it for them. It's not a task that you have to please them. You do it as unto the Lord. And as I figure that out too in my own walk, in my own life, that there's a lot of things that I do that I don't really see the purpose or I don't like it or, it's being done for a client or a family member or a business, but they need help with it. It's something that is helping them. I have to fall back and say, God, why? I don't like it. Hey, you do it as unto the Lord. And that's how you should be doing your task. There's a lot of things in your life that you're going to have to do that you either don't understand or you don't like or you'd rather not do. And that's when you have to maintain a positive attitude and to maintain your testimony. You've got to do it as unto the Lord. Remember this. If you start addressing your procrastination, you'll be surprised at how much you get done. You'll be surprised at how much better you do things, how much more efficient and effective your time becomes. And as you start to do these things, as you start to implement these things into your life, you start to form habits. You start to form thought processes. Oh, wait, I've always done it this way, but I've started doing things this way now, and the outcome of those are so much better. And as you start to do that, you know what happens? The stress and anxiety start to come down. The feeling of the world is crunching in on you and you don't have time to get everything done, as you start to map things out and deal with your procrastination, you'll start to feel those things not being as heavy as a burden, not being as stressful as they once were. So as you deal with your procrastination, you're not alone. You're not the only person that has this issue. Most people do. The question really comes down to this. Do you want to change the way you do things? Do you want to have a better life? If you do, then change your procrastination. Implement tools, implement processes that allows you to deal with your procrastination so you become effective and efficient. And then ultimately remember, you're doing this, you're doing your work as unto God. I hope you have a blessed day. I hope this has been beneficial and helpful to you, and please let me know if I can help you in any way.